Welcome, dear friends, to Cafe Solo Steaming. We are going to talk with Patti Sullivan about her art, about her poetry, and she has done some of the covers for Cafe Solo. We know you'll enjoy the show.
It's called The Send-Off for Stan Martin. In the later years of my stepdad's life, he started switching TV channels all the time. Wearing his Louderama earphones, chuckling away like crazy, my mom would come into the room wondering what was tickling him so. Turns out he'd jumped ship from Fox to Comedy Central, stand-ups and specials he'd never heard before. Plus, he was now getting all his news from Jon Stewart and enjoying the toss to Stephen Colbert. He loved a rowdy political discussion. He became liberal, way more liberal, which drove his very conservative kids around the bend. That daughter especially, concerned about this new attitude, started questioning his medications, exercise, and diet. What she didn't know is that he'd been transformed by good old-fashioned laughing. The truth had set him free. Poetry came to me a little bit later because after I met Kevin, my husband, Kevin Patrick Sullivan, I was a visual artist mainly, most of my whole life. And then I met this wonderful poet. And he encouraged me to get my artwork out there. I had not done that much at all. He says, what do you do with all this stuff? So I started getting my artwork out there, and we got involved in the project of Art Life, which Phil Taggart and Joe Cardella were doing in Ventura for many years. So I would do the visual work along with Kevin's poems. And then slowly I started writing my own, sometimes mainly short love type poems, and then I started writing a little bit longer. I got inspired by a lot of old family photographs, so I started delving deeper into that kind of thing. After watching Pal Joey for Rita Hayworth, couldn't sleep and wouldn't sleep. Bewitched, bothered, and bewildered am I after reading the latest news. Listening to the endless reports, I'm like a child again. It takes a lot of delusion to survive this world. Sometimes you think there is nothing but hate. As I sing in the shower, full of the delusion of the self, I become Rita Hayworth, singing of her Joey, beguiled again, a child again. The beautiful fakery of the movie shower, the voice belonging to someone else. She's a tremendous fraud, full of truth. I'm full of it too. Flinging my pretend luxurious red hair, making up lyrics, crooning just like Rita, bewitched, dreaming of peace for all of us, bothered, dreaming we all could just get along like lovers, and bewildered, wondering what would become of our world. Is there enough soap left to beguile one another into the acceptance of difference? Or will it end up on the cutting room floor and be all quiet on the set? I can remember back in elementary school painting angelfishes all the time. Somehow or other, I just got into that whole, the streaming of the green things that come up along the sides of even a tank or something. But I don't know where I saw angelfishes to get me going on that. But my second grade teacher actually told me I could paint angelfishes whenever I wanted to. She encouraged that. No matter what we were doing, I got to paint angelfishes. So I enjoyed that a lot. And I've just been artistically bent that way, I think, the rest of my life. I enjoyed it all through high school. I never thought I could do anything with it. And then I enjoy making collages, especially now, with the different fabrics and materials and things like that. A lot of times my own pieces that I wasn't that happy with, I'll tear up and start over and make collages out of them. And then starting to show work around in San Luis where we live, to some individual shows and group shows. And then later on came some book covers and my own book cover when I put some poems together. And it's been remarkable, late blooming, getting things out there into the world, and just love it. I wanted to call it feminism. I looked up feminism looking for another word, and I found womenism, but it's spelled with an I. So whoever wrote this was Southern, so it's Wimminison for Billie Holiday. Oh, Eleanor, what little moonlight can do, how you held out your arms to pull all of us in close and closer. If only we'd circled round midnight or any old time at all to shield you, wrap you in peace, not just take and take more, tear away at all you were till there was nothing left. Like the dove you so hoped could take you under its wing, soaring above the noise, singing just one more song. To actually get up and read a poem in public, I remember one of the first times I did it was down here in Ventura at a big group reading. I think it may have been maybe at one of the erotic readings or something, I can't remember. And almost, physically ill to my stomach about the idea of just getting up for that 1 or 2 minutes it was going to take. And then, just really a short handful of years later, able to stand up and read a whole lot of my own work and not fall over and die. So I chose this painting by Marty Azevedo. It's called Broken but Beautiful. Everything in this painting is broken except the frame. There's a green ceramic vase that could be mended if the other pieces are found. Let's use real gold like the ancient Chinese. Then we see the eggshells, empty now of their contents, either yolks or chicks. Twigs have been plucked from their trees, dry and brittle. In looking at these shards, I'm reminded how easily our hearts follow down the same route, how beautiful with each mending they become. Now we're going to talk about that. Booth Memorial Home for Unwed Mothers, 1966. This is a real place. Booth Memorial Home for Unwed Mothers was run by the Salvation Army, and the building is still there, of course, but it's been turned into something else. Those places kind of went away. As tears go by, the epigraph from Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. It is the evening of the day. I sit and watch the children play. I was watching the Rolling Stones on Ed Sullivan, their third appearance, so not as exciting as seeing them the first time. Besides, I had a lot on my mind. I was in big trouble and hadn't shared that news with my parents yet. That would have to happen very soon. I was about 6 months along. I'd gotten through all of the fall start of school, keeping my secret. My mom finally asked what was wrong. I had to confirm her worst fears. So there it was, out in the open, only to be hidden away again. I had plenty of opportunity to come clean. My counselor called me into her office and asked if there was anything I wanted to talk about. She obviously knew what was wrong, but would not or could not say it out plainly. I guess she was blind too. Well, this was in 1965 when I got pregnant in high school. I was a junior, and I got pregnant at the very, very tail end of summer and started school and didn't tell anybody. We were kind of a secretive family, middle-class family in the suburbs of Los Angeles. I was the middle daughter of 3 girls. My mom's whole family all were up here in Ventura, and she was the only one that left the area and moved down to Southern California. My dad was going to UCLA in the GI Bill at the time. That's why we went down there, I think. So we lived there, and I did not feel comfortable and safe with sharing. I just thought it would just somehow go away. I didn't talk to anybody, didn't tell any friends. We didn't have sex education. We didn't talk to counselors in any kind of open way. So I just kept hiding it, and then it just was too late. Couldn't hide it any longer. I had just like 3 months to go in the pregnancy. So they did what they did in those days. They contacted a church. They were not a member of any church, but they contacted the church because she actually told a friend about it, and they said, call these people. And they let them know about the Salvation Army Home for Unwed Mothers. It was right in Lincoln Heights, very close to Echo Park and Dodger Stadium and all that. And a place for everyone. Since I was still in high school when I was sent to the home, I had to attend classes every day. We also had assigned jobs to do. I got breakfast prep. Each morning I would report to the kitchen, filling small bowls with prunes and grapefruit. Though it was a place full of pregnant girls, I still showed up each morning in full makeup after spending way too much time on my hair. Kitchen helpers were required to wear hairnets, which ruined my attempts to get the perfect bob, wearing curlers every night to get it just right. I even washed and set my hair on the afternoon that labor started, feeling that something was happening. I'd better get ready for it. By that night, I was in full labor, delivering early the next morning. When they gave me the saddle block, I turned my head to throw up, and pink sponge curlers fell into the silver basin. Now that image is never going to leave me. I think it was around the time when my mother passed away several years ago, and I started writing a few more. I had written a very few poems about it, but they were very, you could read them and not, I think they were good poems, but it wasn't a memoir type poem, like somebody wouldn't think that. It could have been about something else, you know what I mean? It wasn't specific. And so then I started writing more stories about it. After my mom passed away, it was kind of more of a safe zone now, because she didn't, even though there had been contact with my daughter, she found me in '92, and my mom and my sisters and everything, but it wasn't as far as, I think my mother had anticipated bringing her into the family then, and she already had a family. You know, adoption is very complicated, very gray area where you don't necessarily at the age of 26 find your birth mom like she did and then everything is done. You know, it's very, very strange, and I don't know what she expected, I don't know what I expected, but I was so very happy to have that closure and that meeting with her. And over the years, you know, we've had maybe a handful of meetings and letters, phone calls, and emails, and that it continues to today. But now it's down to emails. You know, we try to make plans to get together, but different lives. You know, but what came about more, I think, with writing them was that I just, I think a certain timer went off after my mom passed and everything, and I sat down and wrote a bunch of them, all in the spat of just a few weeks, really, and they were a lot longer than they are now. That they ended up being. I did edit them down quite a bit. And then I got a little bit of help also from Marsha de la O and Maya, who they read the poems before I published them, and then I sent them out again, and with some of their help, and I actually won that prize that published the book. Taboo, Mother's Day, May 1966. Salvation Army Band performed for us on Mother's Day in the patio. We each got a corsage to wear and a bottle of perfume. Taboo, with its fake fur animal print cap. The whole thing was just too much for me. What was wrong with these people? Flowers, music, a perfume called Taboo. How did they think we got here in the first place? Didn't they see the irony in any of this? We're pregnant teenagers about to give birth. We're not becoming mothers. We had nothing to celebrate that day. I had hoped the day could be ignored, swept under the rug. Isn't that what the Booth home was about? Hiding dirty secrets? I wish we'd gone to Echo Park, maybe take a paddle boat ride on the lake, just watch the ducks, people playing with their kids. Maybe the concert wasn't such a bad idea after all, confined to a safe place where we couldn't see such things as children and their mothers on this, their own special day. A lot of it too is that I was getting feedback from other women who had been through this this whole era, and there are several websites out there, but one of them in particular on Facebook, you can go and actually pull up the Booth home. It doesn't exist in the way it was, but there are women on this Booth home Facebook page. There's people who were born there who have gone back and taken pictures, and people are writing back and forth, and I've met 2 or 3 very nice young women who were born there, and they're writing to me saying, thank you for writing this, and they enjoyed it so much they said they could only read one poem at a time, and it just was so hurtful but yet healing at the same time, and they're just so grateful to me. And then other people are asking me how they get in touch with their children, and then the children themselves, how do they get in touch with their first parent, and it's touched a lot of people, and I think that made it seem worthwhile that I did it, and the pain when I read them is a lot less now. And then I was talking to one of the readers last night from the open reading, and said there was a lot of humor in there, and I thought, well, if you can't laugh at this stuff at this point, This was 50 years ago. I keep thinking, my gosh, that's some of these people that were there last night aren't that old. And here this happened 50 years ago, and it seems like yesterday sometimes. Coming home. I'd been away from home for less than 3 months, though it felt like a lifetime. When my mom brought me home, it was to a new house. In this house, my little sister and I shared a room, which was hard on me, my body aching in a way I didn't understand. In a normal world, I'd be breastfeeding right then. This new house in a new neighborhood was a way to start over for all of us. There'd be a new school for me in the fall. I wouldn't go back to school right away, though my parents wanted me to. That summer went by in a haze. My sister was 6 years younger. I know she felt something was wrong, but we didn't name it. I spent a lot of time at the beach with my friend Nancy, the only one who knew where I'd been. That's not true. Everyone knew. At the new school, when I started in September, I felt sidelong looks and heard whispering. Even my school counselor made nasty comments to me. They knew. They all knew. The story about me visiting some family friend far away was not believable. Why didn't we ever talk about the truth? Would we die or catch fire? I lived in Rosemead, which was like, a 20-minute drive away, but yet I had never been to anything downtown anywhere near this. We just didn't go to Los Angeles. I think I went once as a kid when a relative came. We went to Grauman's Chinese Theater and that kind of thing. But I did not know where I was, and my mom was the only one. My dad and my mom dropped me off when they admitted me there. But then my mom was the only one that came to visit, and she would drive the surface streets to get down there, which added about another 20 minutes to it. But you could actually do that. You can get all the way to downtown Los Angeles from there. So I was there for the 3 months till I finished my pregnancy. They took good care of me. There's other horrifying stories in this country, and others even worse, like in Ireland, where they murdered babies and things. But here, a lot of places, they sent you off to almost a slave labor kind of thing, where you got to go work in someone's home and you were a nanny and everything else. But this was just a big dorm room kind of situation. They had doctors there, and they had an actual hospital wing next to it. So once you were ready to deliver, you moved over to the hospital wing. They worked with the LA Adoption Society or whatever it was, and there was very few options. There was no talk about, how are we going to do something different here? So the adoption was pretty much, I turned 17 while I was there. And so I had another year of high school. I came home and finished it that year of high school. Got married basically as soon as I could after high school to become an adult, basically. Never told anybody, never ever told a single soul about it, never talked about it again with my family, which was very harmful until she found me. Surrealism of Magdalena Carmen Frida Kahlo Calderon. Her painting, Viva la Vida, has invaded my dreams. Here, hold this a minute, she says, and hands me the baby. She's got her hands full, needs to unlock the door to Casa Azul. Tourists want to look inside. She turns and enters the house. I wait. She doesn't come back out. I call her name. She says, just keep holding the baby. When she never returns, I slowly start to walk away, holding my breath. I look down at the baby and ask, what now? Run. I think I've learned that I would want to help other people in this situation. I've thought, because everything that happened in my life, I think, was colored by this stunting of a personality, of a growth. Like I was going to go to City College. I didn't go because I was afraid. It put a lot of fear into me. And I think overcoming all that fear, all those years, and then actually writing these things, and then actually being public about it and reading them has been an interesting process. I guess interesting is kind of a mild word. It's been life-changing, I think. But I'm not quite sure if I know how to put that into words about what it has changed. Growl. Call me skittish, but I'll always steer clear of a large dog with a head the size of a footlocker. His resting face woebegone and far away, being led around on a slack rope by a kid with toothpick arms, not strong enough to control a toy poodle. Who's leading who here? Yes, call me shy or scaredy cat, but when I come upon a scene like this, I'll try to put plenty of room between us. Humming softly under my breath a safety mantra, this land is my land, this land is your land. Stay on your side of the road, please, I'll stay on mine. Call me fearful, call me nervous, but I don't think that mountain of doghood has even heard of Woody Guthrie, because he looks like he thinks he owns all the land in sight. What he needs is a lesson in canine communism. What's best for all, Pooch? What's best for all?
I think it's just a jumping off point of exploring more and more of what you want to say and doing it. The publications of it is just the icing on the cake, but it's like, it's a goal, I think, to set, because then you stay focused on not just your feelings out there and just, say 20 pages maybe needs to get edited down to 2, because you want someone else to enjoy this too and not just say, whoa, this is way too long. Or this is beyond my attention span, So you are writing somewhat for a public, but you don't need to pander to that public either. Just write what you want to write, but then realize that it needs to be readable. And I think living with a poet who likes to edit their work down and uses just the words that he wants and not has helped tremendously. And listening to all the hundreds of poets we've been exposed to at readings has taught me a lot to keep it brief, keep it simple, but say what you want to say.
Cause of death yet to be determined for C.D. Wright. Dear Carolyn, may I call you Carolyn? I will not lie and say I've read and loved your poems forever. In fact, I was sent scurrying to our bookshelf the other day upon hearing of your death, just knowing we must have at least one volume of yours, and sure enough, there it was. String Light, published in 1991, set just where it should. I'm so glad we spent that time to alphabetize. And yes, now I can see I've loved your work forever. I just didn't know it yet. They tell us the cause of your death is yet to be determined. But if they find out that it was at your own hand, I'm now offering mine to hold yours tight and say, stay, please stay. We were born in the same year. When you say, I am the goat, we are sure-footed, it brings out the inner mountain climber in me, not. When you talk of the name that was also my father's, what your grandmother was called, what's inside the box this comes in, I am there, having carefully saved all the letters we shared over the years and never got around to writing, correspondence grown dusty, as in our dust. I am your ancestor. You know next to nothing about me, she says, and yet we will know you from now on and forever. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed our visit with Patti Sullivan. I did. And join us next time for Cafe Solo Steaming.